what you see. Don't forget you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, and you can donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. This stream is brought to you by LIVE. LIVE. Live now. We're live now. We have a number of different products. LIVE products. We have the disinfectant. We have liquid detergent. We also have dishwashing liquid. And we also have, coming in blue and pink, fabric softener. And these are the cleaning products of LIVE. We also have drinks. We have sorrel, Morbi. We have orange, fruit punch, grapefruit juice. We also have lime. Different flavors from the LIVE brand. LIVE, live now. We're live now. As you can see from the title, we're going to talk about some exciting fights that are coming up and some that would be nice if they came up. And we're going to talk a little bit about predictions on these fights. A fight that's coming up October the 4th, very, very close, is the fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. As you know, Artur Beterbiev is the three-titled unified light heavyweight champion of the world, and Dmitry Bivol is the WBA and IBO light heavyweight champion of the world. That fight is highly anticipated because whoever wins that fight becomes the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. And so it's a big fight. It's a huge fight in that respect. And I really think that that's going to be a great fight, and I'm looking forward to it. So there's that fight we're going to talk about, and you guys can give your predictions on that fight as well. In addition to that fight, we also have a possibility that David Benavidez may face David Morrel. I believe it will be at light heavyweight. I don't think it's a title fight either. But it'll be a light heavyweight fight, I believe. And David Morrel has moved up to light heavyweight. And the sort of fights that Turki Al-Sheikh has been giving us, the prince from Saudi Arabia, makes everyone now have to step up their entertainment. You know, Turki Al-Sheikh has delivered in spades since Riyadh season has begun. In the heavyweight division, we've gotten fights we possibly would not have gotten. We've gotten Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. We've gotten Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. We've gotten Deontay Wilder versus Xiao Zhang. We've gotten Daniel Dubois versus Alexander Usyk. We've gotten Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce. We've gotten so many great heavyweight fights. Not to mention, also, we have gotten great non-heavyweight fights also from Turki Al-Sheikh. So he's been doing a great job of getting all the different promoters together to make fights that we as fans have wanted to see. So the fans have been winning out with Turki Al-Sheikh. And now it may be possible that Turki Al-Sheikh, working closely with Terence Crawford, hopefully roping in Canelo Alvarez, it might just be possible that Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez could be a possibility. I'm not saying it is. That might be actually Canelo Alvarez's swan song, his final song, his final fight. And what better way than to see that fight happen? And like we said, David Morrel versus David Benavidez, that's a great fight as well, in which fans would love to see that fight. That wouldn't be with Turki Al-Sheikh, I don't think. I think that would be with the PBC and Al Heyman, but that would be a great fight to see as well. So these are the fights that we as fight fans are excited to see. These are the fights that we want. You know, if Canelo's not facing David Benavidez, why not face Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford's built his reputation, he's got a name now, having beaten Errol Spence. He's yet to have another fight. Terrence Crawford is somewhere around 37 years old, so he's at the tail end of his career as well. As Canelo, they're both veterans of the sport. Terrence Crawford significantly fought at a significantly lower weight class than Canelo Alvarez. But who knows? That would be a fight that would jar the fans' imagination just for the simple fact that Terrence Crawford is taking on Canelo Alvarez. That would be a great fight. And Canelo would be fighting somebody who is not naturally a 168-pounder. So that would be an interesting fight in the sense of that. Canelo has fought guys smaller than him. So let's see what will happen with that fight. So that's a fight that I think would make tons and tons and tons of money just because of the risk that Terrence Crawford is taking. Not to mention, it's a fight that would sort of get fans' imagination, and you've heard different people give their perspectives and opinions on it. And me personally, I thought, Terrence Crawford would be too small for Canelo, but now having thought about it, I'm not sure. It's possible Terrence Crawford could pull this off. So I would love to see that fight. And like almost all the fans out there, seeing that Canelo's kind of eliminated David Benavidez from the equation, and David Benavidez is really the last piece Canelo should be facing. Then why not a Crawford fight? Why not? So I say all of this to say, if Turki Al-Sheikh is involved in this, I think that fight could happen. Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to make the biggest and best fights happen in boxing and bring back boxing to the foreground, which is a great thing. Geopolitically speaking, Saudi Arabia has been trying to buy into the Western Empire's entertainment. And this is what Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to do. Of course, Saudi Arabia is also trying to move across the BRICS, depending on how things go. So we'll see how that all pans out in the end, given what's happening in Palestine, etc. But what I want to say is that, what he's doing for boxing is a great thing, I think. All right. So let's get into the fight. So if you guys want to give your opinions, go ahead and give your opinions on this. But what you need is not going to spend too much time. Let's just get into it. Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. A lot of people think Beterbiev is going to smash Dmitry Bivol. I don't think so, because I've never seen anyone smash Dmitry Bivol. In fact, I've seen guys who, are big knockout artists like, Ramirez, Gilberto Ramirez, Canelo Alvarez, what's this guy's name from Canada? I forgot what his name is. From Canada. Big, strong guy. I forgot what his name is. Fort Bernard Hopkins, Fort Sergey Kovalov, etc., etc., etc. I've seen that guy get outboxed and just completely outclassed by Dmitry Bivol. I've seen Bivol take guys apart, beat them up real bad. Not knock them out, but beat them up real bad. And he has good power, and you have to respect his power. You have to respect what he does. I know lots of fans will look at Artur Beterbiev and say, well, he's a destructive machine, and he can box, and he has pedigree, Olympic pedigree, and he's big, and he's strong. So he's going to beat Dmitry Bivol. I am of the opinion that the kind of caliber of opponent that Dmitry Bivol is, it's going to be very hard to beat him. But, I would say that I've always maintained this. I think that Artur Beterbiev, because of his punching power, because of his strength and his IQ, his boxing IQ, he has a chance in there. But I just think Dmitry Bivol is just so much better than him. And I truly believe that Dmitry Bivol is going to beat him. Bivol has been building his strength. He's been building his conditioning. He's been building his power. So I just don't think that Artur Beterbiev on any given day, no matter how good he thinks he is going to beat Dmitry Bivol. That's just my personal opinion. I would like to hear your guys' personal opinion. A lot of you are impressed with Artur Beterbiev's knockout of different people. But me personally, I don't think he can beat Dmitry Bivol. I just don't think so. Based on Dmitry Bivol's, not only his boxing IQ, but just the way how efficient he is and how he moves, how he is able to determine range and keep range. And there's no trick that Artur Beterbiev can bring to the table in terms of boxing tricks that Dmitry Bivol hasn't seen before. So I just don't see how I don't think he's going to just power into Dimitri Bivol and overpower him. I don't think he's that. I know he's a good boxer, and I just don't think Beterbiev can close that range gap to do something to Bivol. Bivol's excellent at ascertaining range and maintaining range, and I think he has the tools and the firepower and the footwork to keep Artur Beterbiev off balance and even punish him as the fight goes along. So I don't see it, but I think a lot of people think that this is a much closer fight than it really is. Nonetheless, and that's why I make a prediction now. I don't think Beterbiev is going to beat Bivol. I think Bivol is going to become the number one. I think he's going to become the number one light heavyweight in the division. I just believe that. But we'll see. I've been proven wrong before. I've been wrong about things before. Having said that, though, I want to say that I am so happy that this fight is happening, because after this fight happens on October 4th, we are going to have an undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. So one way or the other, finally, these guys are going to fight each other. Finally, these guys are going to face each other. And hopefully, we don't have a draw. We have a definitive winner for the light heavyweight division. I do like both fighters, by the way. I do like Artur Beterbiev. I've always liked him since he came on the scene a long, long time ago, before he was world champion. And I do like Dimitri Bivol. I just think that Dimitri Bivol is a much better boxer than Artur Beterbiev. And I mean significantly better. And the performance that Dimitri Bivol is going to put on is going to convince everyone that he's the best light heavyweight in the world. Pound for pound, probably one of the top three fighters in the world right now. So, for example, if Dimitri Bivol was to fight Terence Crawford, I'd have Dimitri Bivol beating Terence Crawford hands down easily, even if it's at 168, where Bivol would have to come down and weight, lose him. I'd have Bivol beating Terence Crawford. Why? Because Dimitri Bivol has a style where he's very consistent, and also he's able to maintain range. You can't fool him. You can't deceive him with little tricks and stuff that you can bring out your table to close distance on him. He's very active. His hands are very active and his feet are very active. And it's just very hard to close that distance with Bivol. That's the problem. And Bivol is relatively good on the inside as well. He's pretty strong on the inside. And he can fight. And he has a chin and he's strong. He's tough. I'm not saying that if Artur Beterbiev catches him with the right shot, he's not going to put him down or even knock him out. I'm not saying that, because Bivol's gotten bigger and stronger now, so he's acclimatized to the weight class. But I mean, I just think that Bivol is that much better than Artur Beterbiev. And Beterbiev is a hell of a fighter. He's strong and everything. He's given Usyk all he could handle at super heavyweight when they were fighting. I just don't think I think Bivol's a different kind of beast, and people are going to see that. Now, I'm hearing, rumors that, they're trying to sabotage the fight, and somebody's trying to accuse Bivol of abusing them and beating them up and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is, some woman, but I don't think that's going to disrupt the fight and stop the fight from happening. I noticed there's a lot of disruptors that like almost, there's all kinds of things trying to happen to stop this fight from happening. First, we heard the feign that Beterbiev got injured. I'm telling you, they're trying to keep Beterbiev away from Bivol because they know Bivol will beat Beterbiev, that he will beat him. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you right now, he's going to beat him, and he's going to beat him bad. He's going to beat him in a comprehensive way, okay? And all sorts of things they're trying to do to stop this fight from happening. And I know Top Rank is trying to protect Beterbiev tooth and nail, and they're going to use all kinds of dirty tactics. I've seen it with Al Heyman when he used a lot of dirty tactics to get a fight not to happen. And they try to get all the out of the ring stuff. They try to carry as much dirt on the opponent as possible so that the opponent doesn't have to face the other person. Okay? And so they're trying to do the same. But Bivol is a guy that's very focused, very tunnel visioned, very determined. And because of that, it's going to be very hard, I'm telling you, for Beterbiev to beat that guy. Beterbiev, don't get me wrong, he's also tunnel vision. He's also very focused. He does what his trainers tell him, but he's still learning the sport as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying that Bivol's not learning the sport, but the level that Bivol's on, I just don't think Beterbiev's on that level. So it is what it is. Let's talk about the other two possible fights that could happen. David Morrel versus David Benavidez. Benavidez being the much more experienced fighter, has become world champion twice, um, has fought the better competition. And David Morrel, who's Cuban style boxer, has a lot of skill and ability, big, strong, tall. Um, I'm not sure who is stronger of the two, but what I can tell you is that this is a great fight. This is a fight everybody would want to see. It's a pity that both guys will not be world champions when they fight, but it's a great fight. And would we love to see it? I would absolutely love to see that fight. I think Benavidez has the more experience in the pro ring. He has more fights in the pro ring against better opposition. So anybody with any bit of common sense would think that depending on the kind of fight, that David Benavidez has the edge in terms of fighting. But David Morrell is a very skilled Cuban boxer, southpaw. So it'll be interesting to see how both those guys would do against each other, seeing they're both big guys, and it's the new division. I would love to see that fight. That's a great fight. Um, who do I think would win? I'm going to edge it to Benavidez because of the experience at this point in time. But of course, you have to, Benavidez didn't just jump up and say, "I want to face David Morrell." You know what I mean? Even though David Morrell is a champion, so it's not like that. So we'll have to see how that pans out, because that's a great fight. It's going to be a challenge for both fighters. And we'll see who will become out the victor, because that's a great fight. That's a great fight. But I do think David Benavidez has a lot more experience than David Morrell, and I think that may be the determining factor in a fight like that. But who knows? Who knows? Who really knows? I don't know. I don't really know if it's a fact. I can't really tell you who would win. I just have to watch how everything goes down to the final. And David Morrell is a complete professional, as David Benavidez. So I can't really say. I think experience might be the tipping point, but I don't really know. That's a fight. That's a fight fan's dream. Because you just never know. You just never know. David Morrell came on the scene like a bang, and he was just smoking everybody. So I'm not sure who would win that fight. Okay, that's a good fight. I would love to see that fight. I hope that they make that fight a reality, because that's a great fight. That's one of those great fights, and it would be at light heavyweight again, which would be a fiery division. So that's a great fight. Now, the last one is Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. That fight just really sparks your imagination. What if Terence Crawford were to win that fight? That's the kind of imagination we're talking about. And Terence Crawford is, extremely capable fighter. Canelo is not really been expressing any sort of zeal, interest, or being challenged, or he doesn't seem to want that fight. So if that fight actually happens, it's not because Canelo wanted it. He doesn't seem interested in a fight like that. In fact, some interview he had, he was talking about how he preferred to face Floyd Mayweather than face Terence Crawford. So all of that, it doesn't ring good for Canelo. And then just the way how Canelo reacts to such a fight and talks about it tells us that he's not interested in being challenged by pound for pound the best boxer in the world. He prefers to be second rated. He doesn't care to be pound for pound the best. He doesn't care to be called the best, because to be called the best, and because there's a pound for pound number one fighter in the world there calling you out, okay, and you don't want that fight, then you're obviously saying that you don't want to be pound for pound the number one fighter in the world. You just want to cruise off into the sunset, but you're not interested in challenging yourself. And as we all know, Canelo and Terence Crawford are contemporaries. They're actually, I think Terence Crawford's older than Canelo, if I'm not mistaken. And, Terence Crawford is a 4-divisional world champion. Canelo Alvarez is Terence Crawford is a 3-divisional world champion, twice undisputed. Canelo is a 4-divisional world champion, once undisputed, and is currently undisputed as we speak. And so it'd be undisputed versus undisputed, kind of like, not really, because Terence Crawford was undisputed, but he was stripped of the IBF title, and I think he surrendered his belts by now. So anyway, the point I'm making is that Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez could be a great fight. You know, not like the Jamel Charlo fight, but a great fight. And some people say Canelo's on the downswing. Well, then what do you think about Terrence Crawford? Is Terrence Crawford on the downswing? Terrence Crawford's older than Canelo. So I don't believe in that. I don't believe Terrence Crawford or Canelo are in the downswing in the sense of how people say. Of course, they're past they're not in their primes anymore. I don't think so. But having said that, that's a good fight. Two veteran fighters, one significantly fighting at significantly lower weight class than the other, daring to be great, and the other one already great, already established. Both of them already great and established, fighting for his title. Why not? We've had Carlos Monzon versus, what's the kid? Emil Griffith. Okay, we've had a number of these sorts of fights. He fought against the Cuban guy. I forgot what his name is. Jose Napoles versus Carlos Monzon. These are great fights that make, history. Now, if Terrence Crawford would have beat Canelo Alvarez, it's one great fighter versus another great fighter. What does Canelo Alvarez have to be ashamed of? If Canelo Alvarez beats Terrence Crawford, one great fighter fought another great fighter and beat the other great fighter. I don't understand why guys like Canelo, guys like Gervonta Tank Davis make excuses. You're fighting a named guy, a great fighter. You're fighting the pound for pound number one fighter in the world, vying to see who's pound for pound. And you turn that down because you can get money to fight somebody easier? That sounds, in this era where we're actually getting those kinds of fights, it sounds weak, and Canelo looks like he's a weakling. He looks like, I just want to catch my paychecks and leave the boxing game. That's what it sounds like. And it's sad because Canelo was once pound for pound the number one fighter in the world, and he was taking on everybody and anybody at a certain point in time before he was pound for pound. And now to see him come out to leave the game as a whimper, he just wants to get wins. He wants to compile wins against guys he can not just can beat, but he's clearly these guys are not on his level, and there are guys who are on his level that can fight him. Berlanga fight. Guys, you guys know I didn't cover that. I didn't even cover it. Did I watch it? I didn't even watch it. I think I didn't pay to watch it for sure, but I didn't watch it because it was like, what am I doing here? Why am I watching this when this guy has much better competition he should have been facing? And I'm not asking Canelo to challenge himself per se, like everybody else out there is. But if you say you're the best, then you should want to face the best, even if you're in the twilight of your career. Mayweather's second to last fight of his career was, as world champion, was against Manny Pacquiao, the guy that everybody said he was not going to face. Okay? Oscar De La Hoya fought Manny Pacquiao as his last fight of his career. Shane Mosley, I don't know what his last fight is, to be honest with you. But the point is, if you're the best and you claim that you're the best, you have to show that. You can't be claiming, Canelo's kind of claim he's the best fighter of this era or whatever. You can't claim that if you don't want to face the best, which is Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford right now, pound for pound, is the best fighter of this era. And the fact that he's trying to make it possible so that he can face another pound for pound fighter, come up 2-3 weight classes, totally disadvantage himself, and face you, and you're like, nah, I pass on that. I mean, that's easy money, first of all, and second of all, it's like, what are you? You're no longer in this boxing game. Why don't you just retire? You're here to collect a paycheck. You're not here to do anything serious. You're just here to collect paychecks now. You're not really into competition anymore because you don't want to face the best, either in your division or the best in boxing in terms of pound for pound. You don't want to. Terrence Crawford has a right to challenge you because he's pound for pound the number one fighter in the world. So he wants to prove that he's pound for pound number one fighter in the world. Whether he wins or loses, at least he's saying, look, I've done enough, and I put myself in a position where I could challenge you. And at first I thought it was ridiculous. Now I look at it And the way Canelo's acting, I don't think it's ridiculous at all. I don't think it's ridiculous at all. And I think that Canelo doesn't want to face Terrence Crawford. He just doesn't. He doesn't. And he doesn't want to face David Benavidez. And so while he had an illustrious career, his last couple of fights have been anything but illustrious. You know, they've been whimpers. While everybody else in the boxing community has really been pressing on the accelerator, he's been decelerating. And to the point where I'm not interested in any of his fights. None. You know? So you leave the sport, you know, sadly, looking like a blotch on the sport. I'm not saying he's a blotch on the sport. He's done a lot for the sport. He carried the sport on his shoulders for a certain period of time. But you leave with a whimper. It's sad. You know? You know, it's one thing if you retire and then you come back and you fight at the retirement fight. But he's doing retirement fights. He's doing retirement fights before he's retired. If you don't want to compete with these young, strong bucks, and Terrence Crawford's not a young, strong bucks anymore. He's as old as you. He's older than you. So he's literally a contemporary. Canelo's going the way of Triple G. Triple G stopped facing real competition 2 years into his last fight, you know, because he stopped. He came off the grid. After the third Canelo fight, he was done, you know. And it's sad because Erislandy Lara was there. And recently we saw Erislandy Lara knock out Danny Garcia. And Erislandy Lara is 40 years old. Contemporary of Triple G. Around the same age. Triple G would never face Danny. And here's the problem with this, right? You don't want to face your contemporaries? Like, if Floyd had a contemporary that was around his age, he still tried to fight Andre Berto. Okay? At least he's trying to fight a contemporary. I got to understand Canelo saying, oh, David Benavidez is not my contemporary. Okay? He's a guy much younger. The problem with it was that Canelo fought Caleb Plant. Canelo fought John Ryder. These are contemporaries of David Benavidez. So when Canelo, you see, that's the difference between Floyd and Canelo. Floyd did not fight contemporaries of the next generation. He never fought a Keith Thurman, Short Porter, Errol Spence, a Kell Brook, who else was there? Timothy Bradley, right? These are contemporaries who are around the same time. Well, Timothy Bradley, actually, he could have faced him, but Timothy Bradley was top ranking, and Floyd wasn't doing business like that. But the point is, at the time, Floyd was doing more business with Golden Boy, you know. But the point anyway is that when you talk about contemporaries, right? Amir Khan, even though a generation below, was a contemporary of Floyd Mayweather. So that's, I think, one of the people he did not face. But at the time, Amir Khan wasn't a world champion. He wasn't at the top of the game. He wasn't pound for pound. You know, he was none of that stuff anymore. He had been knocked out by Danny Garcia. People were talking about Danny Garcia facing Floyd at the time. So that is what it is. But the point I'm making is that Floyd mostly fought all his contemporaries. And then he stopped. The buck stopped at a certain point, and he didn't face Keith Thurmans and Kell Brooks. And I wanted him to face Kell Brook, actually, because who became the number one welterweight in the world after Floyd left the game. But the point I'm making is I can understand Canelo not facing, say, a David Benavidez, saying he's not my contemporary, even though Canelo has fought the contemporaries of David Benavidez, such as Caleb Plant, you know, and such as Billy Joe Saunders, you know, such as John Ryder. And he's even fought younger. He just fought the Puerto Rican kid. I don't know what his name is. So you can't be out here saying, I don't want to face David Benavidez, he's too young, whatever, and you're fighting younger than him. You're fighting guys who don't even have no reputation. They ain't even world champion. You know, they've never been world champion once. So it's hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? But then to avoid somebody who is your contemporary and a Terrence Crawford just because he's a couple weight classes down below is ridiculous. I gave him props, Canelo, props for fighting Jermell Charlo, you know. But will he get props for fighting Terrence Crawford? Absolutely. Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the #1 fighter in the world. Of course, you're going to get props for fighting him, but you got to fight him. You know, he's a great fighter, so why not face a great fighter? So I never quite understood that, but what it is, what it is. I don't think Canelo's going to ever face. Maybe he will. Maybe he will face Terrence Crawford because maybe Turkey Al-Sheikh might offer him a paycheck that he can't refuse. But I think if he faces Terrence Crawford, I believe it's going to be the last fight of his career. I don't think he's going to fight after that. He won't need to anyway. He'd be so financially secure, it won't be funny. So, you know, Canelo Alvarez reminds me a lot. Gervonta Davis, reminds me a lot of Canelo Alvarez. Gervonta Davis is the extreme version of Canelo Alvarez in that Gervonta Davis has fought absolutely no one that is a great fighter. He's not fought a single great fighter. He's not fought a single the very top tier fighter. He's not done that. And he's just content to roll in paychecks and have easy fights. And that's sad. You know, and people overhype him. And we have people like Alexander Usyk looking for it. We got guys like Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev looking for it. You know, we have guys like Daniel Dubois looking for it. You know, these guys are hungry and they want to be the top dog. You know, we still have that going on. We had Devin Haney who was looking for it. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford's obviously looking for it. So we have a number of fighters out there. Costa Tszou's son, Tim Tszou, looking for it. I haven't forgotten Tim Tszou. I think he's training to get into the game. So all I'm saying is these people excite me. Now Inui, you know, Stephen Fulton, you know, people who dare to be great, whether they fall short or not. These are the people I really am interested in seeing moving the sport along. You know, I'm not interested in the Jake Pauls and people who, okay, they're attraction, but in my opinion, they're full of shit because they're not facing anybody. You know what I mean? You got to face somebody. You got to face somebody. That's what boxing's always been about. It's who you face and who you beat. All right? I'm going to catch you guys later. I am what you need. You've been watching my channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. This feature has been brought to you by LIVE and LIVE products. I'm going to catch you guys later. Oh, if you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, remember, LIVE products you can get simply or call me or WhatsApp me at 319-4788 and you can put in your order. I'll catch you guys later. I am what you need. Peace.